Hi everyone, welcome back. It's Melissa, and today I'm going to be sharing a little ColourPop haul. So at the beginning of the year, I saw a palette on ColourPop that I was like, ooh, now that's a palette that caught my interest. Like, I was excited about it. And I went in there, I selected the palette, and at the same time I thought I would try some of their brushes and their new, like, newish concealer. And so I made my order and I was like, oh, sometimes I like to just think overnight, just like let it be overnight and think about it. Just think about it. Make sure it's what I really want. Go in the next day and look at my order. And that's exactly what I did. I should have known better. ColourPop stuff sells out super quickly, and the palette was gone. So I was like, ugh, well, I don't want to just order the brushes. I want to, I want the whole order. So I asked them to email me when it was back in stock, thinking that I had a 50-50 chance that it would actually be restocked. I think what I've learned is that ColourPop, they launch these palettes, they make a limited quantity, and then if it sells out, they're prepared or set up in a way that they can quickly produce more. And by quickly, I mean it was like a week or two, and I got a notification that, yay, the palette was back in stock. I put it back in my cart, and I was like, point, click, and ship, and I got my order. This video is going to be a little like, get ready with me using the palette. I've already used this palette a couple of times, like a handful of times. And I can tell you right off the bat that I really like the quality of the shadows. However, there are a few things that I wish were a little bit different. So for instance, there really isn't a great under the brow color. This color up here, which is like one of the lighter colors in the palette, is super shimmery. I did apply that today. I actually tried to tone it down and wipe it off a little bit, and I used a single that I keep on hand for just that reason, this little one from NARS, which is Andromeda. So I do wish that it had like a matte light color for the brow bone. So that's just my personal preference. I really, really like when a palette is complete. It gives me the brow bone and it gives me a dark color to use like as a liner. So this one does have a lovely dark color to use as a liner, so that's awesome. Also, some of the colors in here that you think at first glance that they are matte actually have some shimmer in them. And I'm going to go ahead and swatch these for you. So here is the first row. This is that, what I would say would be the brow bone. This is the middle row, and this is that super glittery shade. And this is the bottom row. So I have not used all the shades on my eyes. In particular, I haven't tried that glittery one. And maybe I will do that at the end of this video. No promises. Because even with that, just a little bit of touching that, I have glitter pretty much everywhere. I have it all over my hands, even though I washed them prior to starting this video, and I did have to pull a few strays off my face. I have a fair amount of glitter on my face, just from application. So, take that with a grain of salt, because whenever you're applying on camera, you kind of, you're sitting a little bit further back. You don't have as much control as when you're doing it for yourself individually. At least I don't. So, take that with a little bit of a grain of salt, but I do feel like if you wear a glitter shade on your lid, you're going to have fallout on your face. And that's just a pretty common thing with like glittery shades, but I think this has happened much quicker than other times that I've used a glittery shadow. I think the look is beautiful. I like this palette quite a bit. I was really excited to see it. I thought it would be a little bit more neutral and a little less pink, but it does lean a little more on like the pinky mauve side. Let me know what ColourPop palettes you have picked up. I'm curious to know which ones you have liked, which ones you use all the time. you know, which ones are your favorites? You know, I want to share down below because that's what we like to do here, is just share information. So let's go ahead and jump into the application footage. I did a little bit of prep. I started off with my favorite sunscreen, and then I went ahead and used this illuminating primer from Becca, and the foundation I'm using is a Pat McGrath foundation. This is the one I'm currently liking the best at the moment. It was hell expensive, so I'm using it as much as I can. And yes, I still keep it in the box because I love the box. Then I went in with this Micro Smooth foundation powder because this is a pretty sheer to light foundation, and I wanted a little bit more coverage like here and around my nose. And that's, you know, I just kind of put it in my T-zone where I tend to have a few issues. I applied a little bit of this Revitalift hyaluronic acid under my eyes, topped it off with this Neutrogena Hydro Boost gel cream eye cream. And then as my eyeshadow base, I am still working on this Bobbi Brown cream eyeshadow in the color Shore. It's pretty dry. I keep adding a little bit of facial oil to it because I really want to use it up. So that's on my eye as a base. So the palette I'm going to use today is from ColourPop, and it is the Flutter By. First of all, this packaging is really so beautiful for just like cardboard packaging, and it has some like glitter raised areas on it. I just think it's so beautiful. And I picked this up because I really haven't tried too much ColourPop. I've just used like some of their Super Shock shadows. While I think they're nice, they have a tendency to dry out. I didn't like that aspect of it, and plus, I'm more of a palette girl than I am a single shadow girl. So between those two things, I didn't get my money's worth out of them. And this palette was described as a neutral palette, which I think it is. It definitely has a little bit of a pink undertone to it. So the other thing I'm going to be working with today are a whole slew of new brushes from ColourPop. And by new, they're new to me. And I picked out an assortment of eye brushes. So I have, let's kind of go through it, a small shader and a bigger shader, E3 and E4, so these are flat shaders. They're synthetic, and I've used them a little bit. I like them. Then there's two fluffy blending brushes. The eyes are the first to go, people. Okay, so the little one is E9 and the bigger one is E2. So these are pretty nice, fluffy blending brushes. And then I picked up a couple of like specialty brushes, E10 and E5. I'll link them all down below. This is like a pencil brush, and this is like an angled shader brush. And then I got shipped a brush that wasn't in my order, and it was one, the numbers are very similar. So they ended up shipping me this medium foundation brush, and what I think I ordered was a slightly bigger one of these. And now I'm past the return date, so I own it. So I'm going to go into this bottom shade, which is Lush, and I'm going to just apply that, you know, in my crease with the biggest fluffy brush. This is going to be my transition shade, and it's a good neutral. Then I'm going to go in with probably this medium like shader brush. There's not like a super great like brow bone shade. I mean, I would prefer something as light as this, but the lightest shade is this one here, which looks pretty light on camera, but definitely has a pinky undertone on in real life, and a little bit of shimmer. A lot of bit of shimmer. I'm going to go ahead and just blend that a little bit. And I think I'm going to go in over that with my little NARS single, which is Andromeda, which is one that I really love for under my brow bone. Let's see if I can't tone that shine down a little bit. Now I want to go in and deepen my shade, and I'm going to use this smaller fluffy brush, which I really like. I'm going to go into this one, which is Made to Last, because I want to just slowly build up this crease a little bit. And I don't want it to get too dark too fast. Actually, let's go into this thicker, the wider one. It's a little too focused with that little one. I'm going to move to the mobile part of my lid, and I'm going to go ahead and use Sun Flare. It's this one right here. It has a little pink, it's a little glittery, but it's not as glittery as that one. And I'm going to go ahead and use one of these flat shader brushes. I'm going to use the smaller one so that I have a little bit more control. I've picked up this one really hoping it would be similar to my favorite flat shader brush from Smashbox. They are very, very similar. This one's just a little bit longer, which is okay, and they're about the same width this way. So, and they're both pretty firm, which is really what I like. It has a little firmness here, and it just makes applying that lid shade a little bit easier. This is kind of a pale look, so I want to add a little bit more definition to the eye. Angel BB, this middle one here, and I'm just going to put a little bit on the tip of this smaller one. Tap it in where I want the most color to be. The other thing I picked up from ColourPop was their new, I think it's new, Pretty Fresh Concealer. It says Hyaluronic Creamy Concealer. The shade I picked was 40N. I've used this a few times. I am just going to dab it under here a little bit. I think the color's good. Maybe I'll go ahead and use this gigantic brush to do some blending. My takeaway on this concealer is it's kind of drying. You know, for a concealer that's supposed to have hyaluronic acid in it, I feel like it is pretty drying. I'm going to go ahead and add a little eye cream on top of it. It's a little unconventional, but this is what I do. And just take a little dab. I don't know, I find most concealers are just way too drying for under my eye. Fine from a distance, but once you get up close, you can really see like it looks patchy. And I did a lot of prep under my eyes. I'm not thrilled with this. If you have beautiful under eyes, it's probably fine. If you're an old gal like me, maybe not so much. I think it really will depend on how much texture you have under there. Honestly, I don't use a lot of concealer these days because I feel like it looks better without it. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish my eye look by applying some shadow in the corner, the outer corner of my eye, using these two little detail brushes. I will say probably the brush that I love the most out of this whole order is this pencil brush. It's phenomenal. It's pointy, it's firm, and you can really get in there. I'm going to go into the darkest shade, which is this brown here. It's called Float On. I think I'm going to actually use two colors. This one here, Mariposa. Am I saying that right? This one. And then I'm going to go in with this little skinny detail brush into that dark color, almost like a liner. Very close to the lashes. It's a nice dark color. And for some reason, I just like to tap it in a little bit. Maybe I'll go ahead and do a little blending with this little pencil brush. Oh yeah. So now I need a little blush and a little highlighter. I've been really enjoying this Pixi. Like, it's just a face powder. It's almost like a hybrid bronzer blush. I really love it. I've been using it a lot. It's very neutral. It's a little glowy. It's great for a girl like me who sometimes applies too much blush. And then I'm going to use my favorite Laura Mercier highlighter. Just because that's my favorite. Mascara and lipstick. I've been really enjoying this one from Too Faced. It's Overexposed. It's like a mauvey nude. And that is my final look. Alright, I added the glitter shadow to this look. So I think it is super pretty. However, definitely you're going to need some kind of a glitter eye base to put it on, because this ended up everywhere in my lashes. I did take a little piece of tape and took some fallout there. I'm sure as time goes on, more fallout will happen. And then I decided, well, maybe I'll just apply a little bit more mascara to like pull it out of my lashes. And I'm so glad I had the forethought not to use a fresh mascara, because it's like everywhere in this wand. I don't know if you can see it. And that would just totally destroy a fresh thing of mascara. Proceed with caution. It is beautiful, but I think you definitely need something like a glitter primer, like this one from NYX would probably do the trick. But for a fancy night out, a special occasion, super fun. And yes, I think you can still wear glitter when you're my age, for the right occasion, in the right way. Just saying. I upload videos every Saturday morning, and I'll include a link to last week's video right up here. And then on this side, I'm going to let YouTube's algorithm pick or recommend a video that they think you will like personally. Thank you so much, and I'll see you real soon.